Welcome. Hi.
Hello.
Hi, my name's Julio. Welcome to Scrub Mode.
I'm John. I'm pleased to tell you
Yes.
this is our 100th episode.
Yeah, welcome. Welcome to the 100th
huge,
episode of
huge.
Scrub Mode.
I wish we could have
I'm
more
happy.
fanfare in the back.
I'm happy to be here. I'm in a celebratory mood, I guess.
We
Add
also
more
have
trumpets.
Ryan here.
Yeah,
Hello.
And-
that's Ryan.
Today we're going to talk about who I think, we talked about this a little bit on one of the filler episodes, but who I think is like probably America's second favorite cryptid at the moment, Mothman.
Mothman's so mysterious, so strange.
What do you know about Mothman?
I know he's like
Like-
a harbinger of doom, right?
Yeah.
Well, I'm not going to say right or wrong, but yeah, just tell me. You too, Ryan. What do you guys know? What is your conception of the beautiful Mothman and his beautiful butt?
Well, I was gonna say that. I was like, they're a giant moth with like a nice ass, right?
It is such a shame that, or maybe not, that statue has just forever added to the lore that Mothman has a cut ass. I'm talking about the famous Mothman statue in Point Pleasant, West Virginia, the town where this story took place. And if you haven't seen it, Google the pictures. There's lots of they gave the Mothman the most perfect ass, and there's lots
He's
of people
caked up.
doing selfies with it.
He's caked up.
He's caked up. People are putting pennies in his ass. People are licking his ass. People love the Mothman.
Yeah. No matter what it may bring to them, what kind of ruin may befall them, they gotta get in those cheeks, man.
I do have to ask
It's
up
crazy.
front, do either of you know how the Mothman story ends?
No, not at all.
Really? Okay, this is going to be fun then.
Okay,
All
great.
I know is that I think the only other thing that I know is that like supposedly they can foresee disaster or something, and they like,
That
appear.
is so fascinating to me. Okay,
Right.
so yeah, Mothman with his red eyes and his essentially sculpted butt has moved from fan favorite to peak cryptid just behind Bigfoot. But to understand the Mothman story is to get to grips with what the paranormal field has become in the last few years, right?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
It's like cryptozoology has moved from being people out in the woods looking for monsters to like a bunch of weird conservative billionaires being paid by the government to set up research stations in their backyards looking for cryptids and UFOs and ghosts.
Ooh. Sounds lucrative.
It is. Go look up Robert Bigelow, one of Trump's biggest donors, if you don't believe me.
Right.
I mean, with a name like that, I can't help but believe.
Big Bobby Bigelow.
Yeah. Bobby Bigelow. He ain't no deuce. That's crazy though. That's
Yeah.
insane. Okay, proceed.
So my point is like this is where that all starts. This is the start of the shift from like maybe these are all their own distinct weird shit to like maybe all the weird shit is one singular thing, and it kind of starts with the Mothman story. So like as we're gonna see, Mothman sits apart from the other cryptids because it's not biologically plausible. Like there could, there's probably multiple Bigfoots, right? No one's like, there's just one Bigfoot out in the woods. People are like, it's a species, right?
I guess, yeah.
Same thing with Nessies. People are like, well, there's probably a bunch of them getting in and out
Yeah.
through like underwater caves or something. There's never multiple Mothman. There's always just the Mothman.
It's just the Mothman.
The Mothman.
And they can tell
It's
by
like
how
Batman.
good his ass is.
It's so funny. Put a pin in that, Julio. You're more right than you know.
He's like borderline superhero with that name, you know?
Yeah. He's like somewhere in between like Enochian angel and Lovecraftian creature. He's like an extra dimensional monster whose Sartesian gaze changes the subject. Like seeing the Mothman or having the Mothman look at you changes your life for the worse.
I see, okay. That sucks.
And as you both already sort of pointed out, depending on your interpretation, Mothman either like causes tragedies or he's trying to warn you against them.
Okay. That's what I've known so far of the
Yeah.
Mothman.
Or maybe he is like he's the first sign that the veil between worlds is getting real thin because as we're gonna see, once he comes through the hole, a bunch of other weird shit follows him. We talked about this a little bit on a previous episode, but like Mothman, or at least the way John Keel, who's the guy who wrote the Mothman Prophecies, the way he defines them is he says he's an ultra terrestrial.
Right. We've talked about the ultra terrestrials a little bit.
Yeah, so this is like not an extraterrestrial, but something something that's in like a higher dimension from us or who exists on top of us, but in a spectrum of light we can't see. It's like very Lovecraftian.
Right. Like a being that exists in like a fourth dimension, right?
Yeah. And it's also a beam. Well, here, let me. Somebody want to read a quote from the man?
Sure, why not?
Sure.
Yeah. Here you go.
Okay.
Give us your best, like, Rod Serling. Make this creepy.
Okay. I have adopted the concepts of ultra-terrestrials, beings and forces which coexist with us but are on another time frame. That is, they operate outside the limits of our space-time continuum, yet have the ability to cross over into our reality. This intelligence controls important events by manipulating specific human beings through the phenomenon of mystical illumination.
Okay. So you see the Mothman, it ruins your life, and somehow that causes something they want in, like, a weird, mystical sense.
Okay.
The ultra terrestrials. That's
Yeah.
The
like
ultra-terrestrial.
that's like a great comic book title or something.
It sort of, like, hits the same place as, like, the Inhumanoids or the Transformers.
Yeah.
The shapeshifters.
Yeah.
The
Inhumanoids.
immortals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who else? What else kind of like similar?
I'm like
Immortals.
Back to the Future, or not Back to the Future, but speaking of like, I'm like Saturday morning TV shows that didn't do very well, but like
Yeah.
have their own dedicated fan base and a small but beloved toy line. That's what Ultra Terrestrials feels like to me.
Yeah. They've got like sick ass toys.
I got not to start into Tangent Town too early, but who's that? Who's that for you? Do you guys have a recollection of a sick toy you love from like a brand you'd never heard of?
I think no. Well, I do remember this one toy I had that was like a ship that opened up with an eyeball that comes out of it.
Damn.
It was like a little tiny little spaceship that was like some kind of alien spaceship that opened up and an eyeball came out the mouth of the spaceship.
Oh, that sounds pretty tight.
Yeah. I don't know what it was attached to. IP wise.
I could probably find this a little bit of googling, but I had trucks that had like monsters hidden inside them.
Ooh.
You know, like you pull back on them, you pull back on the back of the truck, and the hood opens up to reveal like teeth and stuff like that.
Okay.
I used to really love those. How about you, Ryan? The problem is if I ever Google monster trucks, it doesn't give me monster trucks. It gives me the bad movie or, you know, the arena filling monster trucks, and not these like.
Yeah.
And you can't Google mouth trucks.
Trucks with mouths.
I can't think of any right now. I want to think of one, but like,
There
I
were
can't
some
think
cool
of one
ass
right now.
dinosaur toys we had, I think, when we were kids.
Nah, I got nothing.
Well, if it comes back to you, let me know. But yeah, so Mothman. This is it is hard to talk about Mothman without getting lost in the sauce. So I'm going to try to break it up into parts.
Mm-hmm.
So the first part, we're just going to do the Mothman. We're just going to do the succinct Mothman story.
Hell
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
And then we'll flash back for the other parts of the story. We'll flash back for the UFOs. And then for part 3, we'll talk about all the weird shit that's not UFOs. We'll talk about the Men in Black, the ultra-terrestrials, the poltergeist shit, the high strangeness.
High strangeness. I
Yeah.
always love talking about that stuff.
Oh, you're gonna love the later episodes then,
Why is... Oh.
because
Yeah.
Mothman heralds a lot of it.
He's the herald.
Yes.
I see.
Okay, so where do we start? Let's start at the start. All right.
Yeah, you gotta start at the beginning.
Yeah.
Okay, so Mothman shows up. The first official sighting is on November 12th, 1966, in a town whose name I'm certainly gonna fuck up. Clendenin.
Okay.
It's got 3 N's in it. Clendenin, West Virginia.
Okay.
And here we got a group of grave diggers who were digging a grave when they spotted something strange.
Uh-huh.
They glanced up from their work and saw something huge soaring overhead. It was a massive, dark brown humanoid being that was flitting quickly from tree to tree.
Oh crap.
It's almost superhero-ish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess you're a gravedigger, which is supposed to be not
Yeah.
the worst job.
I guess, yeah.
Do you go home when you see this? How much spooky shit do gravediggers see? Was this
It's
just
got to be pretty constant, I imagine.
You're like, not everyone got caught, so...
Yeah.
is
There's
this just
gotta be
another
work out
Thursday
there.
for them?
I mean, I imagine this in what time is this? What year?
1966.
1966.
I feel like that's about the time when, like, that started waning.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's still people who do it, but...
This is also kind of the middle of nowhere.
Okay, so...
Ohio's just across the river, but it's I've never been there, but my understanding is there's not a lot going on for either West Virginia or Ohio for miles around this place.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I was like, look, if you're in the middle of nowhere, the next best thing is digging up a grave.
I'd rather be digging a grave than digging for coal. I'll say that.
Yeah. At least you won't get the deathly coal-based diseases.
Right. You'll see Mothman instead, which sounds way cooler.
Yeah, one, you get stopped by the vigilante Mothman. And then second, all you gotta deal with is probably some gross skeletons.
To put this is weird, but this barely made the headlines because it turns out 1966 was a very weird year.
Really?
Earlier that October, so just a few weeks ago, before this incident happened, the Shag Harbor incident happened, which we'll do an episode on someday. It's like Canada's Roswell.
Oh.
It involves a UFO crashing into a bay in front of a popular tourist town.
Wow.
This same time period, we also see the first famous headline-y animal mutilation story. Where they're like, is it aliens? Is it Satanists? Is it Chupa? Well, we wouldn't get to Chupacabra for years, but is it a monster? That's the mutilation of Snippy, the horse.
Yeah. Who?
Of all the horses to be mutilated, I can't believe it was one called Snippy.
Poor Snippy.
Just some people just have all the luck.
He got snipped.
A snip.
He really did get sniffed.
Yeah.
The famous Bigfoot video you're probably thinking of when I say Bigfoot, the Patterson Gimlin video, dropped on October 20th of that year.
Oh,
Wow.
Like
The
a month
video
before this.
of him?
Yeah, the Bigfoot video.
Yeah, the
Where
one
he's,
where
like,
it's
walking.
like sauntering through the woods.
Yeah,
He's just like walking.
the one our first episode is on. So 100 episodes later, here we are, still talking about that shit.
About Bigfoot.
About
And
how
Bigfoot
he
and how the
walks.
Bigfoot in the famous video has boobs and how that's really weird until you read all the literature where all these freaks were really into Bigfoot having big honkers.
Oh, man.
And just a few episodes ago for us, in the same, one town over from Point Pleasant, Indrid Cold and Woody Derenberger met on that highway.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Enriched
So this is-
gold. Wow. I haven't heard that name in a while.
I looked it up, by the way. Like, his first words to Woody were like, "Be not afraid," and we're like, "That's bad."
Yeah.
Turns out that is the most common phrase in the Bible.
Oh, wow. They really want you to not be afraid.
Yeah.
But when something tells you that, they usually have like more eyes than they need.
Exactly. If something
And they're,
says
like,
"Be not
horrifying
afraid,"
creatures.
if something says "Be not afraid," you fall to your knees and you do whatever it wants till it leaves.
When it says "be not afraid," immediately become afraid and run.
I think we talked about this on that episode, but I feel like a scary creature telling you "Be not afraid," even a normal guy telling you "Be not afraid," is the same thing as like somebody being like telling you to cool down when you're angry. Like, it's just gonna make you madder. If you tell me not to be afraid, I'm just gonna be more scared. If you're a monster,
Yeah,
now I
mean,
know
that's
you
fair.
mean you could harm me, and if you're a guy, you don't know what the fuck is happening.
I mean, it's incredibly true. It's just
Yeah.
like you're just making this worse for me. Leave any information out and let me just try to process this on my own.
So 2 days later, after the cemetery sighting, it's November 14th, and Newell Partridge and his German Shepherd Bandit, not to be confused with the dad from Bluey, were watching TV when around at 10:30 at night, the TV suddenly cut out. When it came
Okay.
back on, all they could see and hear was static.
Ooh.
The static
Ooh.
soon arranged itself into a herringbone pattern.
Hmm.
So like a bunch of chevrons, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And it was accompanied by a whining noise that reminded Partridge both of someone doing the musical scale and like an emergency radio.
Interesting. That's weird. An emergency radio?
Yeah, but in like a pentatonic scale or something.
Huh.
And it wasn't like a ring, it was a whine. I don't know. What do you guys make of that?
Oh, some weird ass noise.
Yeah. Your TV cuts out, it comes back on, it rearranges, it's static, the static rearranges itself into a weird ass pattern, and it starts making weird ass noises.
Hmm.
Again, usual signs to like get out of there. Like immediately just turn around and leave.
Yeah.
Hey, where are you going? Well, the weird fucking thing started to rearrange itself and started making noise. I gotta go.
Look, man, I've seen enough weird shit. It's just
Yeah.
this is a sign to get out of here.
I'm already dirty from the hollow grave that I just dug up. I've got some dude's like engagement ring in my back pocket. I don't need more than this.
So at this point, Bandit started barking, and when he let him out onto the porch, or in some tellings he was on the porch to begin with, Bandit was barking towards the nearby hay barn.
Mm-hmm.
So Partridge pulled out his flashlight to investigate, and lo and behold, as he scanned the night around the barn, his light fell onto two red glowing eyes that reminded him of bicycle reflectors.
Hmm. How's the... Okay, so two glowing eyes, eh? What's in the distance, or like how close?
He was not super clear, but by his barn, where Bandit was barking,
I see.
which I think was like 150 yards away.
Hmm.
So
That's pretty far.
500 feet.
Okay.
That's gonna take forever.
Is that Mothman? Is that our guy?
That's the implication, is that it's Mothman, because what happens, like, the big red eyes are pretty characteristic of Mothman, although a lot of monsters have red eyes.
Yeah.
So Bandit saw the red eyes, he bolted for them, and Partridge started to follow, but then some sort of like fear response paralyzed him in place.
Mm-hmm.
He was too scared to follow.
Okay.
And before he knew it, Bandit had followed the eyes off the property and into the woods.
Oh no.
Yay!
And what I'll say is like a a fuck Partridge moment. He just gets his gun and then goes back into the house.
Wow.
He's like, I'll look for the dog the next morning, and I understand it was a farm dog.
Yeah, the farm dog's gonna be fine.
It's rural Virginia or West
Yeah.
Virginia, different times, different space, but like, if I see a monster out there, I'm going for my dog.
Yeah. Of course you would, John.
You say that like you wouldn't.
I'd go. I'd go for my dog. Because my dog's small.
Yeah.
Very
He
small.
can't defend himself.
Yeah.
Your dog is going to lose in a fight to coyotes. What, the Mothman? Forget about it. He needs you.
Yeah.
Julio's like, I feel like he has a better chance against Mothman.
I recently learned from the Libre tar pits the coyotes are, from the Ice Age, are a little bit bigger, but they're basically unchanged from the modern coyotes that are still in Los Angeles.
Wow.
They're like the last of the big Pleistocene predators. Like all the mammoths, all the saber-toothed cats, all the dire wolves, gone, but the coyote's still here.
Yeah, coyotes, it's hard out there for them.
Yeah,
It really is.
but they keep surviving.
Somehow, some way.
They find a way.
They find a way.
Crazy.
I feel bad for them. Whenever I see a coyote on the street, I'm like, oh, man.
I feel really mixed because they are just doggies at the end of the day, and they're pretty cute. But I've had enough friends, other dogs
Yeah.
and cats get killed by them. I'm always like, "Don't you be? I'm a coyote NIMBY.
Right.
Like, don't you be in my backyard."
Yeah, go chew on a squirrel or something. Oh, man.
It doesn't help that the family dog is Leo, who I love, is like coyote colored. He's a yellow lab.
Mm.
So like, one night Oliver and I were playing. It was Christmas. We were both visiting my parents' house. We were playing the A Song of Ice and Fire miniatures game. Make your nerd jokes.
Uh-huh, uh-huh.
And we had a moment where we saw just like this big dog sitting, sniffing around Leo's food bowl outside, and we're like, "How did Leo get out?" And we both look, and it's this massive coyote, and we're like, "Oh my fucking god!" Just feet from us.
Yeah.
Anyway, Mothman.
Mothman. A
So-
harbinger of doom.
Harbinger of Doom, at least for this one dog, because
Right.
Bandit didn't come back the next morning.
Oh.
Spoiler alert.
And when Neil Partridge went outside, he followed Bandit's tracks,
Mhm.
which was pretty easy to do because the ground was pretty muzzy, and Bandit was a German Shepherd, which is a pretty big dog. And he followed the tracks into the woods for a while, and after a certain point, they just went in circles, and then they stopped.
Huh.
So, was Bandit chasing his own tail? Did he get confused? Was he chasing Mothman around a tree? Either way, it seems as if Mothman had plucked him from the ground, or he had something else spooky had happened to him.
Strange. I would love pictures of this, but I know that's too much to ask for, right?
Yeah, that's something John Keel, who's the writer of the story, often gets dinged on. Is he's like, they're like, "Where are your journalistic sources?" And he's like, "I told you them." And he's like, You didn't take recordings of these people. You just took notes on what they said. There's no. You could be making half the shit up. You didn't take pictures. And he's like, "Look, I write for Playboy, man. I don't know what you want."
That's funny.
Yeah. This brings us to probably the most famous Mothman sighting.
Oh, man.
Have you guys ever heard of the Scarberries?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, so this is 90 minutes after the dog thing. Early the next morning, apparently, November 15th. So approximately, like I said, 90 minutes after the dog napping, two groups of teenagers were making out in the TNT area when something really creepy would happen.
Oh, no.
You see, Point Pleasant was home to what is now known as the TNT area, which is a series of giant concrete igloos that the U.S. Army used to store World War II munitions in, and maybe also stored some toxic waste in.
Mm.
It's situated in the middle of a bird preserve in these swampy woods.
Okay.
So it being the 60s, lots of people went out there to go dogging, to to go
Right.
cruising, or to can't bone in the house. Everyone's parents are there. You got to go bone somewhere else. We'll get into this in the high strangeness, but John Keel says that like cryptids are mystically attracted to humans fucking in women's periods. There's like a lot of John Keel stuff we'll beat him over the head with later. Or I'm like, I wouldn't have put that in a book, even in the '60s, dude. This is creepy, and not in a good way. Anyway, so these two couples are out here, the Mallets and the Scarberries, and they were cruising around in a '57 Chevy. They claim they were looking for friends.
Okay.
I don't know. Two couples pull up into a known makeout area. I'm just saying.
Right.
And they pull up alongside the quote unquote the old generator plant.
The old generator plant.
And that's when Linda Scarberry saw something that made her gasp.
Okay.
In the shadows of the ruined plant, they saw two red glowing circles, 2 inches in diameter and 6 inches apart. As the group sat there trying to figure out what they were looking at, the lights bobbled, and something stepped forward. Stepping out into the moonlight, they saw a creature that was grayish in color, that had 2 sturdy, man-like legs and huge wings. It was 6 to 7 feet tall, and moved in an extremely awkward shuffle.
Awkward shuffle.
Yeah.
I don't know. What do you make of that, Ryan? Did we lose Ryan?
Did we lose Ryan? Ryan, if you can hear us.
No, I'm here. Why, is something wrong?
No, you didn't respond.
Oh, sorry about that.
You okay,
For some
man?
reason, I didn't hear an ask for a response.
Okay.
That's very strange. Okay.
So you're making out with your honey, and you stop at the old generator plant, and Mothman's there. What do you do?
Are we in a vehicle?
Yes,
Or is
you're
it
in
just
a
okay?
a '57 Chevy, apparently.
Well, I'm gonna put the pedal to the metal on that Chevy, and we'll see how much horses we can get out of it.
I'm a little surprised no one said I would invite the Mothman to join.
Well, like, I'm in my freak mode, but with like my honey, not with Mothman. I mean, like, I don't care how chiseled your ass is.
Understandable.
And plus, it's like what, the '60s? What year is this?
66.
When I'm being invaded by the Mothman and his thirst.
1966.
Oh, 1966. Yeah, I'm out of there, man. I'm like, I still got if imagining me in the '60s, it's like, oh, I was born in the '50s. I'm like a young teen in the '60s. So
These were people who were old, like they were in their early 20s or late teens, I believe. So not too far off.
So yeah, I'll probably have like some of that old-fashioned American Christian values. I'd be like, Mothman, no. And then I go, hang on.
That's exactly what these folks do. They're like, I don't know what that is. I don't want any part of that. And they speed off away towards Highway 62.
However, if it was now. If it was now.
Yeah, what would you do if it was now?
I don't know. First, we'd probably freak out and they'd be like, is that Mothman? Is that him?
It's
Try to,
true.
like,
You do
kinda
have the benefit of
squint through the
knowing what a
tent.
Mothman is.
Yeah. Kind of squint through the tint a little bit, and then like, be like, hold on, wait a minute. Let's act. Maybe he hasn't seen us, and then if he goes around, let's see if the rumors are true, and we'll try to peek if his cheeks are the real deal.
Gotta peek the cheeks, right?
Yeah. And if they are, then maybe he's got the appropriate amount of freak to maybe like sit in the back seat or something.
It is a little
in,
unfortunate.
Not 1960s.
We
Not
got two
1960s.
couples here. Maybe Mothman wants to be a fifth. I don't know.
I
mean, he'll have to be in the, in the hotel assigned cook chair, but like he can't. He'll participate when told.
Well, Man, I don't know how to pivot back to the actual story. I'll just say these people followed past Ryan's suggestion and not current Ryan's suggestion, and they sped
Yeah.
down the highway at over 100 miles an
Correct.
hour. So they looked behind them, they saw a Mothman spread his huge wings and shoot straight up into the air without flapping its wings, and then fly into like a chasing position.
Wow.
That's cool.
He took off like an eVTOL, and he just never flapped his wings, and he kept pace with the car at 100 miles an hour, making a chittering and squeaking noise, quote unquote, like an oversized mouse.
Interesting. That's weird.
And sadly, as they fled, they saw what they thought was a big dead dog by the side of the road, but, you know, they were being chased by a monster, so they didn't have time to stop.
Okay. Can't blame them for that, I guess.
When they'd go back, you know, just a little bit later after talking to the police, the dog was gone, so many people have theorized that Mothman killed this dog.
No.
Other people have suggested that, you know, maybe Mothman wanted his own dog. Maybe that dog was his dead dog and he wanted his new dog. And Bandit is
I
still
mean, that's a
alive
way
today,
better like situation.
very happy. Through
That's a way better
ultra-terrestrial bullshit.
situation where Mothman was just all like, "You're living with me now, buddy. Here you go."
Keel himself theorizes that the Mothman didn't kill the dog, but that somebody else killed the dog, like an evil sorcerer killed the dog in a ritual sacrifice that somehow summoned Mothman to our plane of existence.
Okay, so the dog is the sacrifice.
That's what the author of the book says.
I see.
You wish it wasn't.
Hmm.
Well, what are you
Anyways,
gonna
they
do?
approached the lights of the city. Mothman broke off, and like I said, they went straight to the police.
Right.
The police were like, yeah, this sounds serious. And the next day, they held a press conference.
As soon as Mothman saw the city lights, he's like, "Dang, got away from me again." And then like hit that hard, like 90-degree turn and left.
Injured Cold sort of does the same thing, where he's like, hey, what's that thing down there? And Woody's like, mineral wells. And Injured Cold's like, huh, we have shit like that in our place. Anyway, bye. I don't like cities.
Yeah.
So yeah, some unnamed editor would name this creature the Mothman because the 1960s Batman show was really big, so point to Julio. Probably inspired by Killer Moth, or just Batman flat out.
Yeah. I can see that. Yeah.
But that wasn't the end of the story for the Scarberries. No word on the Mallets, but the Scarberries were living in a trailer at the time, and for months after their sighting, their home was plagued by strange sounds at night. Garbled voices like a sped-up monograph, and electric beeps emanated from nowhere. And basically, this stuff didn't stop until they moved into a real house.
That's weird.
Yeah. What do you make of that?
Electric beeps?
Yeah.
That's not that no one heard before.
Voices like a sped-up tape, like Alvin and the Chipmunks voices. And electric beeps came from nowhere.
That is strange. That's hard to describe, or hard to try and rationalize what they could be.
Yeah. Well, that was just the start of the Mothman stories.
Exciting.
Now, post-press conference, basically everyone was seeing the Mothman. Groups of monster hunters, as early as November 16th, were going out to the TNT plant looking for the Mothman.
Okay. So now everyone's kind of like fired up, and they're like,
Yeah.
"Hey, we got to find this guy."
On that same night, a family consisting of a Mr. and Mrs. Walmsley and a Marcella Bennett and her baby daughter Tina were driving past the TNT area to get to a friend's house when they saw a spooky red, or a quote-unquote funny red light in the sky hovering over the TNT plant.
I like how you're like spooky, but then for them it's creepy.
Funny.
Funny, sorry. Yeah, funny. I was gonna say freaky.
Yeah. So they knew it wasn't an airplane, but they couldn't figure out what it was.
Might have been a plane.
Yeah.
I
So they're
mean,
on their
the
way to
most understandable answer is plane.
Yeah.
Right.
Or who
Helicopter.
knows? Like, weird shit happens in the sky all the time. Mylar balloons and stuff. But
Yeah.
I'm playing at the story. It's Mothman this time.
Yeah,
Until
it's
the story is
Mothman.
over, I'm saying it's Mothman.
It's Mothman in the sky.
He's gonna come down, look at you, and then something terrible might happen. We don't know.
And then your TV will get fucked up, or you'll be haunted by Alvin and the Chipmunks voices.
Oh no,
It gets weird.
that's kind of like the worst.
So
Alvin and the Chipmunks.
Yeah, what else could sped up phonograph mean?
Alvin and the Chipmunks. You're not wrong.
Yeah. So this
And it's
this
the one Christmas song. The Christmas
you can't. It's July.
time.
You can't.
I have to. It's in July.
Fair. So these guys
Ugh.
finally show up at the Thomas's house, and what I guess was like a '60s thing. They knocked on the door and found that only their children were home.
Oh, okay.
So they're like, "Oh, the people we came to see aren't here. I guess we'll just drive away."
Okay.
All right. Sure.
Yeah. So as they approached their car, a dark, menacing shape rose up behind it, as if it had been lying down behind the car, waiting for them.
Ooh. Is it Mothman?
Yes. Well,
Oh, man.
yes, as I said, everything is Mothman until I'm done telling the story. I'm sending Skeptic John out of the room. We're all here to celebrate the Mothman for the end of Pride Month.
I just love how Julio's all like, Mothman?
It's a
Like,
good
with that
guess
very
considering we're
question.
covering the Mothman story, but at one of these points, it's got to be wrong.
Yeah. At some point, it's gotta be like, nah, it's not Mothman.
Bigfoot, sorry, idiot. Speaking of
Sorry,
idiots,
dude. It's the Greys. It's the Nords.
it's the Nords. It's our boy Akon.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
Akon
Akon.
and his
Oh,
crew.
man. Yeah.
But this time it was the Mothman, who they describe as gray, taller than a man, with terrible red glowing eyes. Apparently,
Ew.
Mothman was so scary that Marcella actually dropped her baby.
Holy crap.
Yeah,
How far?
Dropping the baby.
just dropped the baby from arm height into the
From arm
dirt.
height. Wow.
I feel like a lot of shit gets like dropped on the floor because of this guy.
A baby's pretty bad.
A baby
Yeah.
is the worst. The worst.
It's bad
for
to
sure.
drop a baby. Don't drop babies if you're holding a baby.
I think we here at Scrub Mode agree with the prevailing science. Vaccines are effective and they work. Climate change is real, and it's bad to drop babies.
Yeah.
I mean, like shaking them was worse enough, but like dropping them, come on.
Yeah.
Raymond, the mother there, stood paralyzed in fear as the Mothman grew closer and closer until Raymond Walmsley passed his saving throw, scooped up Tina, and dragged Marcella and his wife back to the Thomas's house, where they started banging on the door, being like, "Kids, let us in! There's a monster out here!"
That worked last time, but not this time.
So the kids were terrified, but they did eventually let them into the house.
Mhm.
And in peak horror movie shit, they started to hear footsteps on the porch.
Oh.
It's my least favorite trope. Everyone was scared to look out the window because they thought something might be there.
Mm-hmm.
Finally,
But
they
we
got the
already
courage up.
established.
They pulled back the blinds, and they were terrified to see Mothman's glowing red eyes staring back at them.
Right.
It's definitely a lo and behold Mothman
Yeah.
situation.
So everyone screamed and closed the blinds and hid while Mothman just sort of menacingly shuffled around on their porch.
He's like, come on, guys, open up.
I gotta warn you about the bridge!
Guys, the bridge.
Not the bridge.
He's like knocking on their door and their windows. I was like, hello, I know you're in there. I saw you enter.
Can you guys just please fix the thing? Your
Listen to
infrastructure.
me.
It's the
The
50s.
bridge is-
It's still... You guys are still making stuff. Or is it the 60s? I forget. I'm Mothman. Oh shit, the cops.
Oh. Don't forget about the bridge. As he flies away.
Because indeed they called the cops, and by the time the cops got there, Mothman fled.
Right. He
So
dipped.
Mothman hates the cops. I already like Mothman.
You know what, Mothman? You all right, man? You all right?
Yeah.
So apparently it took Mrs. Bennett months to recover from the incident. She was like inflicted with a series of intense panic attacks.
That's rough.
These often manifested in frightening dreams.
Let me see.
She
And-
was hit with a madness debuff.
Yeah, basically.
Damn.
She lived on the edge of Point Pleasant, and nobody else in her family said this, but she felt like Mothman often visited her home to like look at her specifically, and that often she heard weird screams, and keening sounds coming from the woods on the edge of her by her house.
That's spooky.
I think that might be the spookiest one in here. I really like this one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
It's got so many good horror movie bits.
Yeah.
like no one wants that shit happening to
for-
them at all.
Yeah, for real.
Short one here, just a couple days later, on November 18th, 2 firemen saw, quote-unquote, a giant bird with flaming red eyes in the TNT area.
Oh, cool. What was he doing out there?
What were 2
In the-
firemen doing out there in the famous makeout area? I don't know. That's a mystery. Probably just guy stuff, you know.
They're doing dude stuff.
You know, the team building.
Again, this is going to come out in July, but happy Pride.
Yeah.
Then, again, 2 days later, on November 20th, 5 teenagers were doing teenager things near Campbell's Creek when their headlights fell upon Mothman standing in the quarry.
Mothman.
Mothman
That
looked at
sucks.
them and then quickly scuttled back into the woods.
He scuttled.
Yeah, that's what they said.
Scuttling is never good.
I like a good scuttle every now and then.
He kind of scuttles up.
I mean,
I
like,
imagine him walking
scuttling-
just sideways like a crab. Like, I know scuttle
Yeah.
means... Like, cockroaches also scuttle, but I can't separate it from the funny way that what crabs move.
Yeah.
I'm just
That's
saying,
it,
like,
man.
scuttling is, like, very cool, like, nature-wise, but Mothman scuttling, that's danger. You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. Yeah.
But Mothman wasn't done, because later that same night, somebody's dog wouldn't shut up.
Oh, no.
An elderly businessman. So he was like, "What's out there? What are you barking at?" And he opens his front door to see if, like, there's a person there. And Mothman's just out there standing right next to his porch.
He's like, sup?
The man said he stood transfixed by the red eyes, and it was so freaky deaky that he lost track of time.
Ooh.
No.
Eventually, Mothman just sort of flew away, and the man walked inside.
Okay.
But he was so pale that his wife thought he was having a heart attack.
Oh, man. That's nuts.
Wish we had confirmation of how much time he and the Mothman were just engaged in looking at each other, but he just says it felt like a long time.
I see. Sometimes you just get lost in those eyes.
Yeah, we've all been there. You look across
Sometimes you just
your
get-
porch and you just see a cutie cryptid.
Yeah.
And you get lost in their eyes. You're like, wow, I never noticed him like that before.
Stalk these woods often.
So you come around to this porch often?
Yeah, this is my porch. Oh, weird. I mean, cool. Me too.
Awesome.
What?
Yeah,
Yeah, this is... Fuck! Ah! You bungled it again,
don't go to the
Mothman.
bridge.
Don't go to the bridge. Bye!
He told us not to go to the bridge.
He's like, shit. There's not even like a bridge for miles around here.
When's the bridge fall again? When does the bridge fall?
We'll get there.
Okay.
That's the conclusion I was asking if you guys knew about.
Oh, right, the bridge. I remember the bridge just collapses, right?
Yeah, we'll get there. On the
Okay.
evening of November 26th, a very similar thing happens where Ruth Foster, who is on the suburbs of Charleston, West Virginia, not Point Pleasant, opens her door to just see Mothman casually standing on her lawn looking back at her.
Casually. Like
In this
he has
case,
his hands in his pocket. He's like, oh, hey.
I just imagine him doing one of those like half waves, like "Sup,
Yeah. Over his shoulder. Hey.
lovely night we're having. You got any lamp?"
You got any clear eyes? My eyes are killing me.
Your turn to put a pin in it, Ryan, because we'll get to that.
Hell yeah.
Anyway, she noted that he was standing next to her porch so that she could see its face, and she was like, it wasn't a bird, it had no beak, it just had big red eyes, and its face was so horrible she couldn't describe it beyond that.
Oh, wow.
She screamed and ran back inside. She got her brother-in-law to check, but by the time he came over, Mothman was gone.
Just dipped.
Reading this book from scratch and not just relying on the folklore, Mothman seems to love porches and chasing cars as much as he hates bridges.
Yeah. Yeah, so why?
Lots of stories of him just hanging out on the stoop.
Yeah.
He just seems like a chill guy at this point. I mean, very scary, but
Yeah.
like with all the hanging out he does, he just kind of sounds like that one friend.
Yeah. We all got one.
Yeah.
Got the porch friend that's just like, sup, man? The stoop kid who never leaves his stoop.
Yeah.
Anyway, the next day, a rare morning sighting of Mothman at 10:30 a.m., Connie Carpenter was driving home from church. As a weird side note, she's the niece of Mary Hire, the local reporter who becomes like our deuteragonist in the story alongside John Keel. Anyway, so she's driving past the Mason County Golf Club when she saw a tall gray figure at least 7 feet in height. She said it was human-shaped and like very broad, and I picture like Kylo Ren broad.
The absolute fridge of a man wide.
Yeah.
I mean, sorry, broad.
It had, red glowing eyes that were bulging and burning. You know the deal at this point.
Right.
She slowed down to get a look at the creature on the green, and I imagine they both did the sort of Umbrella Academy, just look at each other in passing.
Yeah.
But as she passed it, it spread its massive wings, and once again took off vertically like a helicopter, but totally silent without flapping its wings, and swooped towards Connie's car.
I don't know how he does it.
He just keeps chasing cars. All
He's
right,
like
Ryan.
a dog.
Here, you win your point. Connie, along with many of the other people we've talked with, developed a bad case of Klieg conjunctivitis after having an encounter with the Mothman.
Ooh.
This is a reddening and inflammation of the eyes, usually caused by exposure to UV rays.
Ooh.
So it's most common for like people in tanning beds, but you can also get it if you're like spend too much time on the beach or you don't wear protective goggles while doing big treks through the snow where the sunlight hits the snow and bounces into your eyes.
I see.
Famously, you can also, it's really common to get from welding torches or from looking at nuclear explosions.
I see.
So the implication here is that looking at Mothman fucks up your eyes.
Okay. That seems like it checks, He's got some kind of negative effect.
Yeah, there's a lot of like
gazing upon
eye motifs. Whether you see him or he sees you.
Yeah.
And just like our buddies, after Connie got home for her home became haunted by like a poltergeist. She would hear weird, sourceless sounds, especially loud beeping sounds, coming from outside her bedroom window, but nothing was ever there.
That's weird. That's a weird motif that keeps repeating.
Do you want to speak on that a little bit? Like, I'm surprised that's speaking to you more than the conjunctivitis.
I don't know. Something about beeping noises. I don't know. It's weird because, like, if you're in a hospital or something, you hear beeping noises all the time, right?
Yes. Now's maybe a good time to mention that your wife is in healthcare.
Yeah.
Do it up, buddy.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know why. I just I think like when in of like all the beeping noises you hear in the context of like a hospital or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll see where that stands at. That's an interesting take.
Yeah.
So December was mostly quiet for Mothman sightings, at least
Hmm.
none that are really worth mentioning. But at 3 a.m. on January 13th, Gwen and Connie Martino were visiting their friends, the Christiansens, and they were awoken by the sound of something on the roof.
Don't like that.
The sound was weird and faint at first, like someone hammering metal with a rubber mallet.
Ooh,
But the other woman was like, maybe it was just somebody walking on our roof.
I see.
Maybe, but this one's a dream now, right? So like,
A dream?
I thought I heard dream in there, but
Nah.
this is just an actual play. I mean, I guess it's on worse because it's real.
Yeah. It's not a dream. There's two people awake for this.
Yeah, I thought I heard the word dream. Maybe
Nah.
someone said they thought they were dreaming, but like, no,
It's
this is
also
not. It's
possible I
worse. It's much
misspoke.
worse.
Yeah.
Anyway, the
don't
noises
like
got
that.
louder and louder.
Right.
And eventually Gwen got up to find out what the fuck was happening. And the moment she did, the noises stopped.
That's spooky.
That's funny.
She got back in bed, and the noises started up again.
Oh, great.
Stealth
She's
mode.
like, what the
Mothman.
hell? She's like, I
That's
gotta
some
check
bullshit.
this out.
So she got back out of bed, and the noises stopped again.
That's
Oh
a-
gosh, Dar.
That's
After
cartoonishly bad.
Yeah, right. After repeating the cycle a few times, Gwen and Condi wondered if like they should wake up the other dude in the house, Ed Christensen.
Mhm.
But while they're trying
Rent's
to
hard, okay. they needed
what?
the rent is hard. They needed the third.
Yeah, they're visiting a friend.
Mm.
I like to
Eventually
think
the
they're all
noises
in
just
just one
stopped.
big. Yeah, they're all just roommates.
And they were roommates.
And they were.
They were roommates.
Oh my god.
I miss mine.
Oh my god, they're roommates.
So 2 nights later, the Christensens, which is the people we were just talking about, not Gwen and Connie Martino, but the people who they were staying with, they went out on a date and they returned home to find that their children were in a state of abject terror.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
While the parents were gone, the hammering noises had started up once again.
Holy shit.
love it.
And once they stopped, the kids heard the sound of somebody walking through the snow towards their house.
We don't love that.
That's spooky.
I don't like it either.
Yeah.
That's loud snow crunching.
Yeah.
Yeah, it has to be pretty loud for them to hear it.
Connie Christensen's boyfriend, which I believe makes this the third Connie in 2 stories, was there, and apparently he peeked outside just in time to see a tall, white, caped or perhaps winged figure leap over a fence and out of sight.
Okay.
The next morning, Ed Christensen followed the footprints the figure left in the snow, and indeed they continued past the fence and onto the next property and the next, where they eventually disappeared into thin air. Suggesting
pretty
maybe
funny.
whoever had made them had just flown away.
I see. Okay.
I say that's pretty funny considering that like he hopped a few fences before he decided I'm gonna get out of here now.
I see crows do that, where I'm like, man, why are you walking across the street? You could get hurt. Just fly.
I can never tell what a crow is thinking, but with Mothman, I can feel like he's just like I gotta cause a little bit more chaos with this guy.
Yes.
Maybe leave a few footprints for a couple of neighboring homes, and then just zip out of here by the last one.
Maybe he's just like, it's too cold. I'm going back to the other dimension. Fuck this.
He's like, what's the weather right now? Below 50? Yeah. I'm out of here.
Yeah.
It's like minus 15 Fahrenheit. Get me out of here.
So on the other side of the Ohio River, on March 12th, 1967, a woman and her 20-year-old daughter were driving home from church at 11:30 p.m. seems a little weird to me, but I don't know. When they rounded a wood bend and saw a tall, gray, winged figure. It had long hair
Hmm.
and hung out in front of their headlights long enough for them to get a good look.
Hmm.
They thought it was Jesus.
Oh, okay, that's new.
That's a new one.
And they're like, "Oh, it's Jesus. Let's go greet him."
Yeah. He flew away like Mothman usually do.
Mm-hmm.
Just T-posing, wings straight out, no flapping. He was gone.
He asserted dominance and left.
And when these women got home, just like the other sightings, their telephone and TV started acting strangely, and they heard mysterious noises in their home.
Why does simply viewing him bring about like
It causes
electronic
ghosts.
disrupts?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or psychic phenomena, or like I don't know. That's one of my favorite parts about the story is
Yeah.
I mean, it kind of makes him crazy powerful.
yeah, the idea that like seeing this creature or his gaze falls upon you, your eyes become inflamed like you've seen an angel, a biblical angel or something, and all of a sudden poltergeists show up around you. Like it's fucked.
Yeah, you become a beacon of like the supernatural.
Is
And
it
now
like
you got ghosts fucking with your TV. You got weird hammer noises. You got people, I don't know, like rapping at your walls with nails.
And as we'll see next episode, you also start getting visitations from weirdos
Oh,
who
fantastic.
want to ask you about your sighting.
Wow. Like us.
Oh, that's just
Wow.
that's just, you know.
Not to third time's the charm, put a pin in that, because my ultimate theory for about at least half of the Men in Black sightings is that it's just a UFO researcher with not very good social skills.
Yeah.
And only one outside outfit.
Exactly. It was
He
the
didn't have
60s.
a casual shirt. He just had like a really good suit.
This is the time period where people wore suits to interviews for McDonald's. You know what I mean? Like
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
a cheap black suit. Anyway, we'll get there in the next episode.
Yeah.
I think this is a good place to sort of like flash forward to the end. We're almost at time. There's about 20
Alright.
more stories that go all the way to December. So November of 1966 to December of 1967. Mothman was in town for 13 months.
Wow. Whole year and a month.
Year and a month.
Wow.
And that's when, something spooky happened.
Of course.
For real. So, Point Pleasant has two bridges. It has a commuter bridge for the cars, and it has a train bridge for the train.
Okay.
And one of those bridges suddenly fell in December on Christmas Eve.
Oh no.
And it was like,
Why's it gotta be the eve?
yeah, it was as bad as you might. I try not to make any jokes here because like a lot of people actually died. Like 50 people died.
Holy crap, yeah.
Yeah, it's not good, man.
Or sorry, December 15th, not Christmas Eve. But the bridge was clogged with Christmas shoppers because people were going to and from the various shopping places in Ohio and West Virginia.
Mountain Mama.
Yeah,
Sorry.
Mountain Mama. I'm surprised it took us that long to get the thing. So like the creepy version of this was like, the bridge was full and there was a red light that wasn't working, so people knew to just run that red light to get onto the bridge so they could get to their home. And just like once the bridge was full of people, it collapsed.
Ugh.
But the non-spooky version of this is that cars got way heavier since this bridge was first built.
Okay. So it's effective bridge.
Yeah, the bridge was opened in the 20s, and like you have to remember at that time, just a few people had like Model T Fords and stuff like that. And by the 60s, like 16-wheelers existed.
Right.
And cars in general, like they still have to this day, have just gotten heavier and heavier and heavier.
Yeah, they seem to be getting even heavier, honestly.
Yeah, they do. Don't look up like the fucking fashy cars there where you can't see like 6 feet in front of you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway,
Yeah.
it suffered what they call ductile overload. There's too much weight on it,
Mm-hmm.
and you know, basically a bolt cracked and the whole thing went down because of how these bridges are constructed with counterweights.
I see.
So there was not even enough time for like people who were on the bridge to get off. It happened in an instant, and because Point Pleasant was such a small town, everybody knew somebody, whether a friend or a family member, who died in the bridge collapse. So it
Oh.
was like a huge, huge tragedy.
Damn.
But I will say this, trying to like bring it up at the end here. Mothman didn't destroy the train bridge. He just destroyed the commuter bridge. So maybe he hates cars and not bridges. He was chasing an awful lot of cars.
It's interesting.
And number two, this bridge collapse caused a reevaluation and updating standard for the safety of bridges across the United States. So who knows how many lives Mothman saved
I guess
if
that's
he
one
did
way
cause this.
I guess that's one way of looking at it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's funny.
And after this event, people stopped seeing Mothman. Was it because his job was done or because shit got real? We'll never know.
I'd say like a little column A, a little bit of column B.
Maybe
Yeah.
the veil was closed, whatever psychic anguish the bridge collapse had caused, and shut. You know,
Maybe.
the hole, the gate. And we'll cover this maybe if there's enough time and people are still interested. But like, people would not see Mothman again except extremely sparingly for years and years. But like, since the mid 2010s, like Chicago's been having a pretty intense Mothman flap.
Wow.
So, was he warning us about the new pope? Will there be new?
I don't think so.
I love woke Marxist pope, by the way. I'm not Catholic, but he seems to be about as good as a pope could be.
Yeah.
I mean, he seems like he's carrying on Francis's ideals. It was Francis as the previous
Yeah.
pope, right?
Hey,
And now
as long
it's
as he doesn't die of
Max?
cringe.
Yeah.
True. As long as he doesn't die of cringe. But now it's what? Pope Max, was it? Or was it
I thought it was Leon.
Yeah, it's Pope Leo.
Pope Leon? Sorry.
Leo.
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 He's-
Leo.
Leo.
Like my
Yeah,
dog
not
is
Leon,
it.
right? Not Leon.
No,
No.
Leo.
Latin.
Leo.
Latin
It's a huge-
language for
yeah.
popes.
It's a huge deal because Leo is like only one other pope has claimed the title of Pope Leo. Not like a wrestling match like Rage in the Cage, but I mean like
Wait, but he's Pope Leo like the 14th. Doesn't mean there's 13 other Pope Leos?
I mean like in a long time. Like no
Okay.
one has named themselves Pope Leo in a long time.
Oh, yeah.
And like the last person who was Leo, apparently they were like also huge on like being like wonderfully progressive. Like they supported a lot of like great things for people.
Good.
And then like
Right.
just for the next guy to be like equally like super cool.
More,
Yeah.
what is it called? Liberation theology? Or is that the bad way at one?
Mm.
Wow.
Whichever one is like, hey, we should actually take care of the poor people. That I like that kind of Catholic theology. That's good.
Yeah.
And this guy seems to be doing it.
That's good. Anyway, I guess
That's Mothman.
That's
at least
Mothman.
part one. That's the
part
Mothman
one,
story.
Mothman.
Intro
It's gonna
to
get
Mothman.
weirder as we go along.
There's
I'm-
gonna be
I'm
some
looking
weird
forward
things
to
that'll
it.
happen.
I'm looking forward to it.
How are you
man.
guys feeling about Mothman now? Does he deserve his maybe number 2 cryptid space?
Yeah, I think he does. I think,
Yes.
yeah, yeah. He's great. I mean, I love a good harbinger of doom.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
like, I feel like, cause what, Bigfoot's one, right?
Yeah.
Bigfoot's one. Bigfoot's been around since the 50s, and he's still the most popular. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like Mothman should like kind of overtake that spot.
really?
You think so? Yeah.
I feel like it. I mean, like, nothing against Bigfoot, great guy.
I prefer
Yeah.
Mothman to Bigfoot, which is heresy to
Yeah,
say as a Pacific
That's what I'm
Northwesterner.
saying.
But
That is what I'm
I feel like
saying.
people are still seeing Bigfoot. We get a Bigfoot in every state. You know what I mean? Mothman's very
Localized.
localized. Yeah.
Yeah. He's a little.
Yeah, dude.
Maybe.
but like, yeah.
Maybe he's got to be seen in other places. I'm sure there's 9/11 stories of people seeing Mothman, right?
There's not really like
No.
we'll get into this, but like it's so
Damn.
funny because the Mothman Prophecies writer made up a bunch of Mothman shit because you have to adapt the story. So it's like, oh yeah, it was seen before Chernobyl and a bunch of other stuff, and now people are like, yeah, did you know Mothman was seen Chernobyl? And this guy has to keep going like, yeah, I made that up, man.
Yeah.
I made
That
it up
one's
because
not
I was trying
real.
to sell a story.
Yeah.
So keep your information clean.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for real. Oh,
Yeah,
man.
honestly, good on him for correcting them. You're like,
Now-
hey,
He is the man who wrote "Fuck Batman" from the Titans.
Okay.
So factor that in. He seems to be a nice guy from all accounts, and I don't want to hold that against him too much.
Yeah, okay.
I think he was just trying to like spice it up a little too much.
Yeah,
He overstepped. He overstepped on that one.
it's
Maybe,
another
yeah.
Batman Mothman connection.
Batman.
Can you picture Mothman stepping on a criminal's neck and saying "Fuck Batman"?
I'd have 2 nickels. If Batman and Mothman were in the same story, I'd have 2 nickels. Which isn't a lot, but it's weird that it happened twice.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Thank you, John.
Thank you guys. Thank you, Jesse Sanders.
Thank you, Jesse Sanders, for making the music.
Thank you, viewers and listeners.
Thank you, listeners.
Yeah.
It's only gonna get weirder from here. We're gonna talk about Men in Black. We're
Hell
gonna
Thank you
talk
for-
about ultra terrestrials. I'm realizing now there's another Pope connection. because-
yeah.
Somebody will, maybe Mothman, maybe an ultra terrestrial, maybe Men in Black, will warn about an upcoming Pope assassination.
Oh, no.
Whoa.
Man. Okay.
He's doing it. He's doing them a solid.
Yeah. Oh, man. Okay. I guess we'll have to talk about all that next time.
Yeah.
But thank you for listening. We'll see y'all next time. Bye.
Bye bye.
Bye-bye.